Have you ever wondered about the true reasons behind the Iraq War and the demise of Saddam Hussein? It's a question that has echoed through the halls of history, bouncing off the walls of countless minds only to remain unanswered. The Iraq War, a conflict that shook the world, and the death of the infamous Saddam Hussein have left behind a trail of questions, mysteries, and, unsurprisingly, conspiracy theories. What if everything we've been told is just the tip of the iceberg? What if there's more to the story than meets the eye? What if the threads of this narrative are woven with secrets, deception, and hidden agendas? This isn't about taking sides, it's about seeking truth. It's about questioning what we've been fed and daring to explore the uncharted territories of history. Prepare to dive into a sea of theories and chronological events that have puzzled many. Let's unravel the mysteries together. What do you say? The events leading up to the Iraq War were not sudden, but a culmination of a series of incidents. Let's take a step back and look at the sequence of events that shaped the path to this war. Our story begins with the Gulf War, which took place in the early 90s. Iraq, under the rule of Saddam Hussein, invaded Kuwait, causing a ripple effect of international outrage. The United Nations, with the United States at the helm, intervened, and the Gulf War ensued. A ceasefire was eventually declared, but not without leaving a bitter aftertaste of unresolved tensions. Following the Gulf War, the United Nations imposed economic sanctions on Iraq. These sanctions were meant to cripple Iraq's ability to wage war, but they also resulted in widespread poverty and suffering among the Iraqi people. The country's infrastructure was decimated, and basic necessities such as food and medicine were scarce. As the new millennium rolled in, the world witnessed the rise of global terrorism. The attacks of September 11, 2001 shook the world to its core. In the aftermath, the United States declared a war on terror, identifying Iraq as a potential threat. The final piece of this complex puzzle was the alleged presence of weapons of mass destruction, or WMDs, in Iraq. The United States and its allies claimed that Saddam Hussein was harboring these weapons, posing a significant threat to global security. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, these allegations played a significant role in shaping public opinion and justifying the impending war. This intricate tapestry of events, woven over a decade, set the scene for what was to come. It's important to remember that the march to war is seldom a straightforward journey. It's a path marked by political maneuvering, international relations, and the strategic interests of powerful nations. With the stage set, the drums of war were ready to beat. As we delve deeper into the sequence of events that unfolded, we'll see how these drums echoed across the globe, leading to one of the most controversial wars of the 21st century. In 2003, the war drums beat, and the world watched as Iraq fell under attack. It wasn't a battle fought on the hushed whispers of diplomacy, but a war waged with the thunderous roar of artillery and aircraft. The invasion of Iraq, led by the United States and the United Kingdom, was a spectacle of military might that reverberated around the globe. The shock and awe campaign, a strategy designed to intimidate and demoralize the enemy, was unleashed with devastating effect. Baghdad, the heart of Iraq, was subjected to an intense aerial bombardment. The city's infrastructure crumbled under the onslaught, plunging the metropolis into chaos. The very fabric of society was torn apart, leaving the citizens of Baghdad in a state of fear and uncertainty. As the invasion progressed, Saddam Hussein's regime, which had ruled with an iron fist for more than 2 decades, began to crumble. The once invincible dictator, who had survived numerous attempts on his life and even a full-scale war with Iran, seemed powerless in the face of the invading forces. The fall of Baghdad marked a significant turning point in the war. Saddam's iconic statue, a symbol of his unyielding rule, was toppled in Firdos Square, signaling the end of an era. The image of the fallen statue was broadcast around the world, serving as a stark reminder of the transience of power. But the fall of Baghdad and the collapse of Saddam's regime did not bring an end to the conflict. Instead, it marked the beginning of a new phase in the war, the hunt for Saddam Hussein himself. Despite the chaos and destruction, Saddam had managed to evade capture, disappearing into the labyrinthine streets of Baghdad. With the regime toppled, the hunt for Saddam Hussein began. It was a manhunt unlike any other, a pursuit that would lead the world deeper into the heart of the Iraq War, and reveal a web of conspiracy theories that continue to intrigue and perplex to this day. The world watched in anticipation as the once-feared dictator was hunted down. The year was 2003, and the ruthless leader of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, had lost his grip on power. A coalition force had invaded his country, and now he was on the run, hiding like a common criminal. The man who had once held the world at bay with his threats of weapons of mass destruction was now the most wanted man on earth. The hunt for Saddam was not just about justice, but about closure, about ending a chapter of fear and tyranny that had lasted for more than 2 decades. In December of that year, the inevitable happened. Saddam Hussein was captured. Found in a small underground hideout near his hometown of Tikrit, the once mighty dictator was now in the hands of his enemies. His capture was celebrated around the world, a symbol of victory over oppression and dictatorship. But the story didn't end there. Saddam Hussein was put on trial, a trial that was as controversial as it was historic. Accused of crimes against humanity, of genocide, and of war crimes, he faced the harshest of judgments. The trial was not without its critics, many of whom questioned its fairness and impartiality. Despite the controversy, the trial proceeded. And on November 5, 2006, after a long and contentious legal battle, Saddam Hussein was sentenced to death by hanging. The execution was carried out a month later, marking the end of one of the most brutal and feared regimes of the late 20th century. But as history has often shown us, the death of a dictator does not always mean the end of strife or the beginning of peace. The power vacuum left by Saddam's downfall led to years of sectarian violence and political instability, a grim reminder of the complexities of power and politics. The end of Saddam Hussein, however, did not mark the end of the story. The repercussions of his fall from power and the controversies surrounding his death continued to ripple through the annals of history, serving as a stark reminder of the cost of war and the price of freedom. With the dust settled, the world began to question the motives behind the war and the death of Saddam Hussein. In the aftermath of the conflict, a plethora of conspiracy theories began to surface, each attempting to explain the motives and events that transpired during the war. These theories, while diverse, tend to focus on a few key areas: the weapons of mass destruction, the role of oil, and the circumstances surrounding Saddam Hussein's death. Firstly, let's delve into the infamous weapons of mass destruction, or WMDs. The existence of these WMDs was a central argument for the invasion of Iraq. However, post-invasion inspections failed to find any such weapons, leading to widespread speculation. Was the WMD claim a fabricated excuse to justify the war? Many believe so, arguing that it was a strategic move to gain public and international support. Next, we turn to the role of oil. Iraq has the 5th largest proven oil reserves in the world. Some theorists suggest that control over these vast resources was a primary motive for the invasion. They argue that the war was a strategic play by powerful nations to secure their energy futures. Did the thirst for oil eclipse the quest for justice? The jury is still out on that one. Lastly, the death of Saddam Hussein. Officially, he was captured, tried, and executed. But some theorists challenge this narrative. They propose that Saddam was either killed during the invasion or escaped, and that his trial and execution were staged. These theories are fueled by alleged inconsistencies in the footage of his execution and claims from individuals insisting they saw him alive after his supposed death. The truth, as they say, might be stranger than fiction. Each of these theories offers an alternative perspective on the events that unfolded. While they remain unproven, they continue to provoke thought and discussion, reminding us that history is often more complex than it first appears. The Iraq War and the demise of Saddam Hussein left a lasting impact on the world. The conflict's aftermath was marked by a power vacuum that sparked years of sectarian violence, the rise of extremist groups, and a country struggling to rebuild. Saddam's legacy, however, remains a contentious topic, with some viewing him as a tyrant, while others remember him as a leader who maintained stability amidst chaos. In this video, we've delved into various theories surrounding the Iraq War and Saddam's death. From alleged hidden agendas to dubious intelligence reports, each theory offers a different perspective on the events that shook the world. While these theories may not provide definite answers, they certainly challenge us to question the narratives presented to us. In an era marked by war and conspiracy, truth often becomes a casualty. As we conclude, we leave you with a question to ponder. What is the price of truth in an era of war and conspiracy?